What's up, fam? How are you doing? Welcome to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for coming. If it's your second time or third time, or you're always a member of this channel ever since I started, you've been a member of this family, thank you so much, and just know that I really do appreciate you. A couple of weeks ago, I did a video on the pros and cons of being your own boss. On today's video, I'm going to share with you pros and cons of being employed. Like, umeandikwa na mtu kazi, unamsaidia kumake dream yake it happen. Yes, I'm going to share with you some of the things that you need to know, like the pros and cons of being employed. If you didn't watch that video of pros and cons of being your own boss, kindly press on that link popping, go watching, and then you come back here. Yeah, and I like the way I'm just glowing on this video. Is it the lighting? I think I've never shot a video on this particular, like this angle in this house. There's light coming from that side, natural light from that side, so I think that's the reason why I'm just glowing, you know. So anyway, let's go to the pros and cons of being employed, like umeandikwa kazi na mtu mwingine. Yeah, so number one thing is the pros. I'll start with the pros, then go to the cons. So the first advantage, my good people, is that there is a assured paycheck at the end of the month. Like, it is assured, unless maybe you're working in a company where people are struggling, which I hope you're not. Like, your boss is really struggling, the business is struggling, so your pay doesn't come. I just hope that's not the case here. So I'm talking about stable employment, like umeandikwa mali, it's good, and there's salary coming at the end of the month. So first advantage is that there's assured salary, like there's a paycheck that is coming. And I feel like when you have like assured money at the end of the month, you're able to plan for so many other things. And those are things that I got to realize when I was now self-employed. Like the things like, let's say you have a paycheck coming at the end of the month, you're thinking of purchasing, let's say, a piece of land, you're thinking of purchasing a piece of land, you're thinking of maybe getting a car, you're thinking of buying a house somewhere. Those are things that when you have your pay slip, you'll be able to just get when you're working in a very good environment, like a good company that is well known. Those are things that you're able to even get some loans and buy things, you know. Those are some of the advantages that having a assured pay slip at the end of the month, like, it gives you such advantages that you don't get when you're running your own business, you know. Like when you start, depending on the kind of business you're running, but when I was running my own business, those are advantages that I could not get running my own business. Yeah. The second advantage when you're employed is that you will have a particular structure. Like, you'll have a defined working structure in that particular place you're working in. You know that when you go in the morning, you will be doing this and this and that, and then you'll also know that you're supposed to report to so and so. So maybe you know that at the end of the week you're doing a report. So these are things that you already know, and you already know how your work is going to flow. Like, you're even able to plan other things, like for your whatever. You know that you're working from 9 a.m. to maybe 5 p.m. unless again you're working in an environment where there is no working structure. And most of the time when you work in such environments, people tend to suffer because yani unafanya tu vitu hivi na vile, you know, like yeah, like when you work when you have a defined working structure, it helps a lot when it comes to you planning for other things, like even having your own social life, you know. Yeah. Another con is that you'll have a paid vacation. Like when you'll go on holidays, you'll be able to be on holiday enjoying, spending some money, and you'll also have some money, you know, like coming in. When you work in a very good organization, you'll even have money for those holidays. There's some that give you money for vacations, for holidays and all that, like when you're going on a pay leave, you know, all that. I don't know, I've never worked in an environment like that where we're being paid. Okay, yes, when you go and leave, I never used to get, like, in terms of deducted or something like that. Your salary will still come because I have those days that I'm supposed to go and rest. But now there's some companies that I've seen that when you're going on holidays, they even give you money to go spend on that particular, when you take your leave days. You know, I've seen something like that, especially in government offices. Like, there are so many benefits that comes with it, which brings me to our third point, which is when you're employed, it comes with some benefits. For example, you will have maybe paid health insurance, you'll have maybe house allowance, like in terms of house insurance. You'll also have maybe travel insurance. That's what I was talking about. When it comes to traveling, you might be given something, or maybe you're paid for a ticket, depending again with the organization that you're working for. And yeah, and I think that's the last point when it comes to advantages of, you know, like working in being employed. There are many. Also, you can meet your husband there. When you're employed somewhere, you're seeing different faces every day. I'm just saying this because when I was working for myself, I mean, my office is right here, this other block. yeah, that other side. And I could just see myself every single day. Like I look at myself in the mirror, I see myself, when I turn like this, I see my curtain. Candles came later on. And when you're working out there, you're employed with other people and you're going out in the office, you're able to meet other colleagues, and maybe you might even just get some connection and just bond and get your husband from there, get a wife from the office. If you're watching this and your office allow you to date people within that space, then you can go ahead and use this advice of mine. Let's go to the cons of being employed by someone else. Number one is sometimes you get overworked and underpaid. Yep. Like, especially when you're new, like you're just from campus, you've just gotten to, you're starting your job up. Like you're still new in employment. Trust me, you will give so much, and when you look at what you're earning, might not even balance. I think I'll just tell someone that when you're going to work, just look for something that you love doing, so that you don't feel bad when the money is too low. Because when you enjoy doing it, I think it's different than when you're just doing it for the money. When you're doing it just for the money, then you will really cry, because when the money is not enough, it's a problem. Yeah, and most of the employers usually tend to use their employees sometimes. And I'm not saying that you who's watching this, you go now come and like unishike ama unifanyie nini, but I'm just saying from my experience working in different companies. I'm thinking like the way I've worked for so many companies, by the way, from when I was, I think, 22. Yeah, so I've worked for different people, and there are some of the employers, of course, used me. Some, I don't know if they're really if using is the word, because at the end of the day, you're also using the employer, which I think everyone should learn how to use their employer and not be used by their employer. And how you use your employer when you're getting very little money is you learn, like learn as much as you can. And then when you're done with learning, leave, which is very hard for most of the people to do, but I think one day I'll come to tell you guys my story about my employment story, like the journey through my employment, because I think I resigned in all my employments, and it's something that I'm proud of. But sometimes when I look back, I'm actually proud of it, because I didn't stay in a place for too long until maybe it gets toxic, or maybe I start complaining about that particular working space, yeah. So anyway, we're going to point number 2. That is point number 1 that is making us just stay there like that. But yeah, point number 2 is, when you're employed, sometimes you might have micromanaging boss, like someone who wants to see every single thing. And something about being creative, or maybe working in the creative industry, or maybe being creative like my industry, when you're being micromanaged, it's very hard for you to deliver good stuff, because creativity does not have like a particular structure. My creativity might come maybe when I'm just listening to some music. Then you work in an environment where they don't want you to even check YouTube. They don't want you to get to YouTube. There's some, especially in creative industry, we get our inspirations from all over. Sometimes it's just listening to some podcast on Spotify. Sometimes it's just working from the garden, and then you have a boss who wants you to be sitting in the office, and when you work at the garden, they're like, what the hell are you doing there? Such kind of boss, like they just want to see every single thing. When you're self-employed, you are your own boss, so you can only be toxic to yourself, or there's no one who's going to be toxic to you. So as in here, there's someone else who's calling the shots. Yeah, which brings me to our next point. The third point is, you no longer call the shots. So even when you see something that is not happening well, yes, you're employed because you're supposed to contribute something to that company, but when you're working in an environment whereby you can't speak up and say something or give a comment when you see something is about to burn, because maybe the way the environment has been set is that it's a place whereby you can't be giving your views. Who are you to give your views? You're just an employee. How are you going to give your views? So you can't make decisions. Someone else is calling the shots. So even when you see something is about to burn, you can only do it to a certain level. You get? So as in, you not being able to call the shots is sometimes a problem. Or maybe something takes too long. Like, oh my God, it's like, this particular side, I think I'm gonna talk about it so much, which is not good, but I will get to talk about it one day, about my journey, yes, and I'll be able to give you guys details. So the other point is, you might not have a life. Yeah, depending again on the environment you're working in, because when you're your own boss, you're able to plan yourself well, like in terms of, on Saturdays, my Saturdays are meant for me and my friends. My Saturdays are meant for me and my family. So when you work at a place whereby that particular environment, your boss is like, you have to work, you have to be here, you have to da da da, and you won't have a life, because maybe you're just working. By the time you get home, you're so tired, you just want to rest, you just want to sleep. You won't, like, your social life is going to be dead when you're working for someone, by the way. Like, itakufa. The only people you love to now make friends with are those people in the office. Then you work in a place whereby also it is also wrong to do that. Like, they will tell you, in this space you can't be dating your colleague, yet these are the people that you spend the whole time with. Like, oh my god, sometimes yani but well, that is what employment come with sometimes. Not all the time, sometimes. But there are also some, when I remember when I was working for myself and I was looking at my friends, there was that thing of when you're working for yourself, you get to put all the time, like all the energy in there. Like, you work for more hours compared to when you're employed. So yes, there's some companies whereby the time that you're told to be there is the time that you will be there. So you will have at least, you'll plan yourself and you'll be able to meet your friends and still have your social life. But now there are also the other companies whereby when you're working there, you're just working for them, and some bosses don't really care whether you have a life, whether you have a child to attend to, whether you have to take your child to school or get them from the school. Them, they want to see you, they want to see you there, nothing else. Yep. So it changes, it varies with the organization that you're working in, or rather organization that you're working for. So it just depends. But yeah, just know that sometimes with being employed, you might just not have a social life. Yeah, it will be dead. The last point is you are no longer in charge of your earnings. And what I mean by this is, you know, when I was working for myself, and when you do a project and then you get money, you get paid, all the profit are yours. In this case, now when you're employed, when you do a project, maybe you're the one who even did the budget. And this is something that I've done before. Like, I've ever done a project. I think I mentioned it in my other video for pros and cons of being your own boss. Like, I ever did a project, and back when I was employed. So I ever did a project, and I knew how much money it cost to do that project, because I was the one who was doing that project, and I knew how much I budgeted for that particular project, and the amount that I was given, good people, hata siwezi waambia, it's aibu. Like, it didn't match the amount that came in, like the profit. So when you're working for someone else, you're not in charge of your earnings in terms of the benefits, like in terms of the profits. So you do your job, even if it's $1 trillion project and your salary is like 10,000 Kenya shillings, that's like 100 USD around there. I mean, you'll just get your 100 USD even if you made that 30,000 USD profit. You'll just get that one of yours, unless maybe when you're working in an organization whereby they say that when you do a project, there is commission, but still it usually doesn't match the amount of profit that you put in the company, like you bring to the company. Maybe that's where you're hired. Yeah. So I'm here championing for people running their own businesses. Hata kama ni kambogo nataka kuuza pale kaskuma, we uza tu hiyo mboga, whether it's mayai, whether it's whatever it is that you can do. So I respect people who run their own businesses so much, and I know what it feels or how it feels to run a business. I remember doing my beauty parlor, the Urge collection. I still do some businesses. Not that now I have stopped. I still run my own stuff, but now it's different. You know, it's different because Monday to Friday my time is taken with someone else. So anyway, I am just here telling you guys that that's some of the things. If you're working for yourself and you're thinking of going back to employment, yeah, those are some of the things you need to know. The pros and cons of working for someone else. So anyway, good people, we've come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like it, thumbs up, and you can also leave a comment and let me know what are some of the pros and cons of you working for that person that you're working for. How is the environment there? Do you like it? Are you enjoying? Just let me know in the comment section. Let the conversation keep going. If you've gotten here again and you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly do by pressing on that amazing lady popping right there. And until next time, good people, kisses to you.